I don't know what to call this, rant from Treetops Park. I guess that would probably be the thing to call it. I've just started recording, I've just finished recording volume 6 of Animal Rescue Postmortem, and then just started recording volume 7. There's 24 videos to the series. Originally, my intent was to have like 2 a month come out and then spread it out over the course of a year. But there's so many videos that I can, starting after the beginning of next year in January, there's going to be 3 after the Animal Rescue, a Photographic History series ends. There'll be 3 Animal Rescue postmortems per week. That'll be Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Anyway, that's coming next year. But the point is there's plenty of material out there. And so what I want to address today, like I'm always going on about, the British said you're banging on about it, and that's kind of funny. So what I see in animal welfare is a high level of ignorance. People just don't know what they should be doing. And then also there's a high level of ego. So where people think, oh, I'm too good to do that. You'll see that oftentimes with men. I don't wear safety equipment because what? Ego? You're impervious to injury. You're immune to, wearing safety glasses. These sunglasses are safety glasses. So that if I'm in a position that something hits it's going to hit my glasses, not my eyes. So you'll see guys who refuse to wear safety glasses or goggles. They won't wear helmets. They refuse to wear gloves depending on the circumstances. And it's not just guys. Women do it too. But so you have to wonder, like, what is in somebody's mind that they think that they don't need safety equipment or using personal protective equipment, their PPE. What kind of person thinks that? Is it because nothing's ever happened, or something happened, they got dinged on the head, and that's why they're doing it? I mean, literally, you have to wonder. I've seen people in animal welfare. They're like, "Oh, I'm too fast to get bitten by this animal," or I don't need to use a catch pole because a catch pole is just too extreme. Look, folks, a catch pole is nothing more, and I'll do a video on a catch pole. Catch pole is nothing more than a fancy leash. It's a leash on the end of a pole that's designed to keep the animal a safe distance from you so that you can't get injured by the animal. So it's part of your personal protective equipment in a way. But it's certainly essential equipment out in the field. But why do we see people, like we see these animal rescue people, refuse to wear gloves when they're handling cats or some of these other species? And in my opinion, that's stupid. It's not only ignorant, it's stupid, because let's say it's a worst case scenario and you get your fingernail punctured by a canine tooth on a raccoon, a feral cat, a whatever, and it goes into your nail. And I've had cats bite through animal handling gloves and pierce a fingernail. That's how gnarly, that's how strong their bite was, and then how sharp those canines can be. So let's say that you get that in the nail bed where it is very difficult to irrigate, and you get an infection that becomes a systemic infection, and you're requiring intravenous antibiotics. That's an extreme case. You're in deep trouble if that's going on. You're probably going to lose that limb to save your life. Now there's, you got a chance of it not happening. But let's say that things aren't working. Now you've lost a finger, a hand, a forearm, your entire arm, simply because you didn't wear protective equipment. And, I'm talking about gloves right now. Any glove manufacturer will tell you it's not 100% effective. So you don't get under the illusion that if you put a pair of gloves on, that all of a sudden you're immune from puncture wounds. That's just not how things work. They minimize that possibility, but they don't completely eliminate it. I think that if they made a pair of gloves that would eliminate the possibility of a puncture wound, they'd be unusable. You'd need like armor, like armor that the knights wore running around, and so that's just not feasible. That's just not something that you can put together and it's going to work. It's got to function, if you're going to use it. So some of it's ego, and then some of it is just ignorance. They don't know better because they started their own organization and they've never worked for somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Like, for instance, all the stuff that I've learned in terms of animal handling, I didn't learn in any school. There was no school. Our veterinary medical director said that they didn't teach them any animal restraint or handling in their veterinary school to become a veterinarian. Think about that for a minute. However, when I used to go to the school with her and work with animals, we are learning all that animal handling from the techs down in the hospital portion of the hospital. And then same thing for when I worked at animal shelters. We learned our animal handling experience. I learned from a guy who had been in the military and was handling military canine. So that guy really knew what he was doing. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. It's not just when I'm talking about how to do stuff, I'm talking about using accepted methods for restraining an animal, not just what my personal opinion is. It's based on it being trained by people who were knowledgeable, knew what they were doing, and then were willing to share that information with me. Not just in a class setting, but an actual field setting. So we're handling whatever in animal shelters or out in the field. It could be everything from wolves to bear to cages like with 20 feral cats in it. How do I name that? The possibilities are endless, especially like when the Animal Control Agency had a contract with the county and they're handling all of it. So it will be the wildlife, exotic species, and then the domestic species, So, I really want to promote that people get the right training. You're going to hear me say that probably hundreds, if not thousands of times over the years and throughout these videos, because the videos are proof that it's not happening. That right now I'm not aware. Well, actually, I just got a document that was put out. I forgot by who. I'll put it up on the screen there. Who the document was. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I did look at the animal rescue, search and rescue technician training briefly. I'd like to know where they think people are going to go get that experience. Like, there's not anywhere that I know of in the United States that's going to teach you certain animal handling techniques and behavior stuff. And then the hours that they had on there, I'm going to have to go through that document with you, because some of that stuff just isn't enough time. When I take somebody out to train them, they're going to spend months with me in order to go out into the field on their own, because you can only learn so much in a classroom. Then you need to be working out in the field with an experienced person that knows what they're doing and can guide you through what's happening out there. It's not enough to go to basic school, firefighter, rope rescue technician, confined space rescue technician, paramedic, emergency medical technician. veterinary technician, once you get out of school and you got your certifications, guess what? Now you know how to tie your shoes. Outside of that, you got to go into the field and start learning with the experienced people how things are done out in the field. And I'm not knocking any of the training. I think all the training out there is excellent. But, well, maybe not all of it, but the training that I participated in, I'd absolutely go back to any of the schools that I've ever been to, because it's obvious they know what they're doing, or they wouldn't be teaching it. Well, that's not true either. Yeah, because you got this whole internet phenomenon, whatever's going on, where somebody takes an online class where nobody's testing them in a sense to see what their actual skills are, and then 2 weeks later they're the master of Kung Fu and they're teaching us how to do it. It's just, that's unrealistic, and it's going to get, I think, some people hurt at some point because they're learning from the wrong people. So, we've gotta set standards. It looks like there might be a standard with that. However, where are they going to get that training? You're not going to go to veterinary school and get it. They might teach it in veterinary technician school. I've never talked to anybody who's went to a certified vet tech to find out how much of that, if any, they teach there. If you're a certified vet tech, put a comment down in the description or comment section there and let us know, like if they teach any of that. Because what you really need to know about when you're doing animal rescue, among all of the safety stuff and the technician level type things that you need to know, is animal behavior. You need to know animal behavior and body language, in addition to animal handling and restraint techniques. You can't just go and get that in a weekend. You can go and get the basics in a class, and then you need to be working with somebody to put those into practice. An experienced person who can bail you out if you get in over your head, because that can quite often happen. I've seen it happen with people before. All right, I think I've kind of gone on enough about that. So we've got to address the ego issues, we've got to address the ignorance issues, and then we also have to address the availability of training, and who's going to set that, who's going to do the training, who's going to set the standard for it. Do they actually know what the hell they're doing? And we have to know that as well, because I don't want somebody that just says, well, I should be part of the board, and then to make the decisions on that, because quite often we know people who get on boards to make those decisions, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So we've got to know where that standard's coming from, and then implement a standardized training for that. I don't know if it's still the same way. Well, no, it's still not the same way. The DOT used to, and maybe they still do, did the basic standards for emergency medical technician. At least that's the way it was back in the late 70s, early 80s. And so we need to have a national standard that people can meet, just like the NFPA standards for technical rescue. I think that animal rescue is a technician level field, or what, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It's a technician level skill that if you're going to go out and do animal rescue, I don't believe you should be limiting yourself to any one species. You couldn't really do that feasibly here in the state of Florida, or at least in South Florida where we are, because there's exotic species. You could come across a tiger or a lion here. You can come across venomous reptiles, and that's all stuff that is either legal or illegally here. And then also, in addition to all of the wildlife and the domestic species, we don't limit ourselves to anything, because anything can happen with any animal. And so you need an agency that can respond to that. Our fire departments down here, they train for technical large animal emergency rescue, but from what I've seen, I don't think they practice the skill very much. So even if you've got a department that's got the training and the certifications, if they're not practicing it, they certainly need somebody on the scene who does know what should be happening next, even if they've got the basics. It's just like I said, you can be a firefighter, go and learn all your firefighting skills, become a certified firefighter, but it's not until you get into the field where you really learn. I'm not sure how loud that aircraft is. Where you really learn how firefighting works, and that you've got somebody overseeing the operation, your incident commander, or whatever the position is, that's directing things, and then the crew needs to know what they're doing. And what I'm saying is, most fire departments probably need an experienced animal handler out on the scene, where it's just not that available. But remember, it's not just an experienced animal handler, it's a well-trained animal handler that shows up and knows confined space, trench rescue, technical large animal emergency rescue, elevation type rescue, so they can fully participate in that rescue. All right, because it may take the experienced animal handler to extricate an animal from a situation where they're the only ones who have the qualifications, the knowledge, the experience to... Here, stand by. There. A big old horsefly over here. Not going to get bit by that thing. Yeah, that's a little bit of blood spray. All right, so not having that. There's horses over in that direction somewhere over there. All right, so if that animal needs to be chemically immobilized, that means we give them a tranquilizer, they go unconscious. In order to effect that rescue, who but the animal rescuer with the experience on the scene is going to be able to do that? I can't direct the fire department personnel how to do that injection. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's where you need all that kind of experience on hand. I'm telling you, when I go out in the field and I'm doing animal rescue, I draw on every minute of experience that I had in the past as an EMT, paramedic, firefighter. I was a lieutenant, and I need every bit of that experience to draw on, in addition to all the animal handling experience that I've learned over the years working at either at an animal shelter, or doing Humane Emergency Animal Rescue over the years, or just working for a veterinarian. So it's I think we're still some distance into the future before we're really implementing this animal search and rescue technician standards that they've come up with, and where we have organizations like ours that's able to teach people to that standard to meet. Hopefully there'll be an NFPA standard someday for it, like there is the Technical Large Animal Emergency Rescue. But in the meantime, who determines who has that experience? You see what I'm saying? It's got to start somewhere, but who's gonna determine that? Because I got to tell you, I don't want just some administrator that actually doesn't know how to do this stuff themselves determining who is and who isn't qualified to teach this kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't think that that's the way to go. I've got some experiences that I just don't like, experiences that I've had in the past with people like that who really just didn't know what they were doing, but somehow they were in a position of power to make those determinations. All right, I've rambled on long enough about the subject of animal training standards, egos, ignorance, and the future of animal welfare, or animal emergency animal rescue. All right, that's it.